Hello, everybody. It is your host, Kirby Gunnarsson, a.k.a. the Ball Brawlers, a.k.a. your defending champion, a.k.a. motherfucker that knocked out Sap Vegas Panty Raiders, baby. Let's go. I am here as, I'm not here as always with my co-host, Zach, because he's very interestingly not here today. He is MIA for reasons untold. So we're going to talk a whole bunch of shit here. But I am here along with my boys in the Sacco playoff going head-to-head, Mr. Shane Sapp and Kyler Ludwig. Boys, how are you doing today?
Whoop, whoop. I'm great.
Very good, Curb. Great to be here.
Yeah. We've always wanted to get you guys on. We've tried it multiple times. Luddy, I know that we always had you pegged kind of for this weekend. I heard you kind of want to kick it off with a segment that I have no idea what's going on. So go ahead and take the reins, good sir.
Yeah, I don't want to disappoint anybody with the surprise segment by any means, so I hope, I don't catch too much flack for it. Part of it, with our Yarsky League, there's just so many different components with it. I mean, we obviously got the fantasy football stuff, the week to week. I love the new edition of the Yars Cap. I mean, that's got to be one of my top favorite things about the league. Couple other things is just you got your best friends in part of something here. We got group chats, we got bickering, we got bitching, we got attacking, and I love sitting on that phone and just like, oh my god, guys, look what's going on. I go tell my boss Bob Mulbauer, and he just loves it. The other part of it is doing the draft, getting together, having food, drinks, but also the other part is the golf. We forget about the golf. And I sit and listen to these podcasts, and I got Kirby and Zach like bashing. We're doing power rankings of our football teams. And I'm at the bottom three all the time. And I'm just getting picked on. So I'm like, you know what? Part of the Yarsky is the golf game. So I'm going to bash y'all motherfuckers golf games and tell you guys what I disrespect about your games, and maybe something that I kind of respect, but think you guys need to work a little bit more on. So
this is the kind of content we need. Absolutely. We'll all sign up for this.
I'm here for this.
I know this is going to create some controversy with you two on the show probably, as well as, Josh is going to bitch. And some of these other guys. So I kind of want your guys' feedback a little bit on my power ranking. So we're going to start at 10, who I think is the worst.
Love this.
And we'll work our way down. Okay. So
okay.
I think like in our league, we got like the last three, me, Josh, and Sap, we've kind of been at the bottom. I think we kind of got the same thing with our golfers. I'm putting number 10, I'm putting at Schultes. And I think Schultes probably might have had a little edge on Jared, but I think Jared got him in our golf match when we kicked off the Yarsky this year, if I'm not mistaken. And I think Jared might be playing a little bit more because he's a school teacher. So I think that's the only advantage that I give him.
Have you seen his slice?
Yeah.
It's the worst thing I've ever seen.
With Schultes, I'm a little leery giving him the 10 spot just because I don't know if I've ever seen him play golf. I've heard some stories on Sap's bachelor party that he must have putted lights out, but apparently Matt Berg was just a fucking rainmaker, Mr. 39. So we credit that to him. So I think Schultz's game is probably trash. Like I think the whole bottom three are. And probably the only thing I respect about him is he must have a naked chick or something on his putter, or is it a beer putter?
Budweiser?
I did not know that.
Is it a Budweiser putter?
That is breaking news to me, but I like it.
Okay.
That automatically moves him up in my rankings.
I might be thinking of longtime Carroll Country Club member Bill Lindy has a naked lady. If you flip the putter upside down, the water goes from top to bottom and a naked lady appears. So maybe I'm giving Schultes too much credit, but either way, he's filling in the 10th spot. And then I got
so at
Jared.
number 9, are you leading?
I got
number 9, Jared.
9. Yep. I think that's kind of fitting since he's been last in the fantasy football Sacco. I think then he deserves to be in the 9 spot.
So how do you think that makes him feel being last in our Yarsky League and then being last in this golf rankings? Like, are you trying to destroy the guy?
No.
Okay. Just making sure.
Nope, definitely not. I think Jared's a huge asset to the league. He's definitely one that has gotten a bunch of flack with being the worst, but that's why I'm giving him a little bit of an ego boost, and he's at number 9 in front of Schultes.
Yep.
I think Jared's got a nasty slice, so that's why I think his game is trash. The only positive that I have right now is he is a school teacher, so he has his summers off, and he could maybe work his way up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh,
And then
absolutely. So
eight,
number 7 and 6. Or no, 8. Wow, I'm off on my numbers.
Number 8, I got
Yep.
Roscoe.
Oh, he will not take that lightly.
No, he's
here for this though.
He's not going to like that. He's one of the guys that I think there's going to be some controversy here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna leave it to you guys to maybe fill in who you guys think are 10, 9, and 8. But Ross, I think he also has a horrendous driving game, and his short game is not good either. The only thing I give him maybe some credit is he's going to be a doctor. If he specializes, he has a great chance to slack off, work from 9 to 2, and then play golf the rest of the time. So there's room for improvement. But if he goes into family med, I think he's going to stay at that 8 spot and potentially go to 9.
Number 8, you're putting Ross, but
yes.
You have Zach ahead of Ross, though?
I do. Mm-hmm. So
wow.
Now I want to hear you guys' opinion pretty quick on what do you think of my bottom 3 there?
I can't stick to that. The bottom 2, absolutely. Okay. But Zach is for sure number. I got Zach at 10. Sorry. Zach's 10.
Ooh, okay.
I have to.
Goes. We've been waiting for that.
What's your reason for 10? Just because he's the worst, or what?
I think if you put 9 straight holes and you're doing every single shot, I think he'd get derailed.
Okay. Curb, I'd love to hear your opinion, because I think you and Zach went head to head in our matchup this year for the Yarski Golf.
Yep, and I guess I'll touch base quick. I agree with 10 and 9. I would flip the order, and I would think I would have Jared at number 10, but I think that it's kind of a flip-flop. You kind of just choose whichever one and put them in the blender, the same thing. I actually agree. I have Ross, I think, 1 spot ahead of Zach. I have Zach in the 8 spot, but looking at his game head-to-head, I mean, Zach kind of mentioned it. He will crumble over 9 holes. We went head-to-head and did not give him any strokes, and he just couldn't stand the pressure. Much similar to in fantasy football when we play head-to-head. Knocked him out last year, knocked him out this year. I put the team on my back for the best shot, and I think I beat him by 5 or 6 holes. So, Zach, I got your number.
It's kind of like Kelsey and Waller. Either one, you could just kick the shit out of him regardless of who you had. So it's no different in the golf game. If you're playing best shot or alternate or wherever the game is, you're going to beat him is what you're saying.
I mean, it really doesn't matter. He's whining about Kelsey and Waller, and I beat him either way. So you know what? Sometimes, wolves don't worry about the opinion of sheep. So Zach's a sheep to me. He gave me the breakfast pizza before my championship last year. I ate it all up all the way to a W in that beautiful Yarski title. So, Zach, I got your number, and right now there's nothing you can say about it because it's the 100% truth. So I will personally put Zach in the 8 slot and Ross 1 spot higher, but we can obviously dive into your rankings for 7 spot on up. So let's dive into the next one.
This is where I think it gets a little dicey, and I think you guys are going to really disagree with me on here. So I think spot 7 through 4, I don't want to say it could go either way, but I think it's a lot closer. And I'm going to put Zach at the 7 spot. I think his short game, what I disrespect the most, his short game is horrendous. It is bad. The one good thing that I like about Zach's game, though, is he can keep the ball in play. And he has the drive, he wants to play golf. And I think he kind of does play a decent amount. But I do think I put him at the 7 spot because he doesn't want to play with, he can get outside of his comfort zone really easily. So that's why I put him at 7. I just thought maybe he played a little more golf than Ross did. And so I have him at the 7 spot. So I guess after we heard what you guys thought of Sap bringing him all the way to the bottom, which might be a stretch.
Maybe it was too far, but I'd like to see the whole game. I'd like to see 9 straight holes.
I agree, because I think Zach can be very surprising through 3 or 4 holes, and you're like,
Yep.
okay, he's got it figured out, and then just train wreck, just drives off a cliff.
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about the short game. If he happens to have one chunk or one little blade across the green, all of a sudden it steamrolls into a few other ones. And that's when the short game in golf, that's where you gain all your strokes. So I think that's the number one thing. And I know he's looking into getting a putter this year to hopefully help with that putting stroke, but he's a lefty, so you can only help the lefty so much.
Yep.
True.
All right,
so
then
number
I got
6 that we're on to.
Now things get hairy. I have
Don't piss me off, Letty.
I have Kirby.
Yep.
But
love this.
Okay, I have Kirby. Okay. And what I think Kirby's game lacks a little bit, I think you can correct me, Kirb. I think the consistency off the tee is not there.
No, not at all.
I think the iron play is okay. And actually, surprisingly, I think your wedge game is pretty good. I don't know if you'd agree.
It's gotten better since I've invested in some better clubs. I've been using the Kmart one, and this will be the last year I'm using cheaper brand irons. So I've been investing in heavier irons, which has been able to help. But like you said, the key for me is being consistent off the tee, because I can go OB very quickly.
Yep. And I think I give Kirb a little credit because he bought a wedge from me. So I appreciate that. And he's investing in his golf game. I mean, there definitely is a difference between a Kmart club and a decent club. So I think Kirb's got some room to improve. And I think him being invested into the game, I like that about Kirb's golf game.
All right,
never go halfway. Always go full send, baby. Now, see, I expected to be in that spot. You're going to see no comments from me. Sap, do you kind of agree there?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you'll have an amazing round like you did last. What was it for fantasy? We golfed and you shot a 40.
A 40.
Yeah. So you'll come out to a 40, and then the next day you'll shoot a 52. So
I kind of think Kirb has some potential, like more potential than what track records might show.
I got some distance off the tee, but it's all about getting consistent with it. So, all right, we got me agreed and pegged away. Let's go for the next one.
This is where I really pissed somebody off. I got Sapper at number 5.
Fuck you.
Which means I have Josh at number 4.
Why? The guy crumbles under pressure.
You think so?
What are you taking him off of Brita? Oh God, my lights turned off.
Does it make a difference?
Yeah. I mean, all the guy does is golf Brita. I mean, just like Bell. Like you take any of those guys off of Brita, you're adding at least 5 to 7 strokes.
Well, that's true.
Because they're not used to the green.
I think I will tend to agree that I put Josh one spot ahead of Sap because I think he golfs more than Sap. If they golf the same amount throughout the year, I would give Sap the edge. But
I
given
agree.
that Sap still rocks Nike clubs that are now discontinued, the Sap squad, I think that might be time to reinvest in the game. And once he reinvests in his game, and now that he's going to be a member, hopefully in Carroll next year, I think that it definitely could flip this year. But if you're asking me today who's the better golfer, I'm going to give the edge to Josh.
I'll take that.
I like that. Okay. The one thing I like about Sap's game is he does not give you gimmies. Like if somebody gives you a gimme, I'm good with you. I'm good with you picking it up. Like if Kirb gives me a gimme, I'm going to pick that shit up all day. But I love the competitiveness out of Sap, and he will not give you a gimme. And I love the grind out of that. So I think in that aspect, if I'm not going to take back my ranking here, but I think if you make everybody put it out, the whole thing, disregard gimmies, I do put Sap at the 4 spot.
Oh shit.
Yep.
Psychological game. Totally changes it all. Josh would get flustered.
Yep. Well, and Bilt and Josh, like every other putt, they're like, gimme. Like Zach, I know he'll ask for a gimme every other putt. Kids these days.
All right, the number.
So I think, are we up to the number 3 spot? Are we on now?
We're up to 3, and I got Taylor in this position.
Yep.
I think he's the clear 3. It's kind of unusual that he's also in the top 3 of the Yarski playoffs, and he's got this golf thing going on. So I do give him credit. His golf game, I mean, I played a decent amount with him. I think he's better than what he actually tends to play. And I think I respect his game more than he respects his game. And I think other people respect his fantasy team more than he respects his fantasy team. So I think Taylor just needs to fucking own up and grow some nuts and say, yeah, I'm fucking good.
I agree. Grow some nuts, Pooty.
I would definitely agree. But yeah, like you said, I think the one reason he's down on the fantasy team is this is his first year ever in the playoffs. So if you've never made the playoffs before, it's hard to truly try and be too confident in your team. But in his golf game, he's long off the tee. He's driving greens if it's a short course. And yeah, his game is pretty rock solid. I think he's the easy, clear-cut number 3 of the group.
Yep. Okay.
So now we got Built or Luddy.
Oh, well. Yeah, so Bill
I just looked it out maybe onto the screen. I hope it caught that.
Bill, I want you to hear this loud and clear. You are by far the number 2. And it's kind of like Kelsey and Waller. Kelsey, which is me, is clearly the number 1. Then there's a huge gap to Waller, who's number 2. And then there's a pretty big gap to the number 3 tight end. I respect almost everything about Bill's golf game, which kind of hurts me to say, but his mental game with trying to beat me is, I don't know how to put it. Like, everybody's like, what did you say to him? How do you get in his head? I don't get in his head. He gets in his own goddamn head. I mean, I think you guys would agree with that.
So what's your game plan for like asking for strokes every time you play? Is that just also to get into his head?
Oh yeah, it's just
yeah.
I mean, he gave me that first time we played this year. I, said, and which probably happened. I played like shit with Caitlin the first time out, and then I got a couple shots from him and destroyed him. And every time I play with him, I ask for shots, and it just gets to him, and it's just kind of fun to play with him. And
he gets rattled. That's for
he
sure.
gets so rattled. So
I mean, love that. Once you put a 59 to your name on the day of the draft, I mean, there really is no question. I mean, it's kind of locked and loaded. And I thought at first when you were saying Bill is the clear number 2, I was hoping you were making a Lamar Jackson reference from last night, because he definitely left the game last night to go take a shit. But hey, there's only so much you can do with that.
So anyways, then I got me at the number 1, and we don't need to dive into that at all. But
we don't?
No.
State champ.
You
know what? I was a
Yarsky golf champ.
The Yarsky golf power rankings. You know what? This might have to become an annual thing. Like, obviously we got it for this year, but I feel like we're going to have to drop random surprise pods in the years to come, just randomly in the off season. It's like, okay, everybody, here's where your games are. Here's where you got to improve, and let's see some improvement for the golf outing.
I just was so sick and tired of week to week saying, nope, Kyler's in 7th.
That was really annoying.
Kyler's in 8th, and the only thing that was going for me is I was always better than Sap. So that does kind of lead us into
Luddy,
the next segment when we get there. No.
So at the beginning of the year, you started strong, didn't you? Like your team, what did you start? I'm taking my curb segments, but what?
No, you two go ahead. This is now the Sap. We're now on the Sap versus Kyler shit talking part.
We're
you
on
guys,
that?
Please lead the way. Talk all the shit you want back at each other.
Okay.
Yeah, we're jumping straight to that.
So Sap, you want me to?
Talk about your season. I want to hear about it.
Okay. So I kind of count last week's, even though I was on a bye. Sap, you won, but I think we clearly count those as dubs. So I beat Jared, so I moved to like 6 and 8 or something like that. And everybody's got injuries. I mean, I get that, so I'm not going to beat a horse there. But looking at my team, when I drafted my team, one thing, I didn't have Pooty there, so he did not give me a spreadsheet, which, I mean, that could play a factor why I'm in the Sacco playoffs.
But you started strong on the season, though, right? Like,
yes. Yeah, I did. So, I think I've won the first game, and then I'd have to go back.
You beat me in the opener. I think you started the season. You beat me in the opener, then you lost the next 2, and then you beat Shane.
But I think in week 2, and I know week 2 was. Did I play Ross?
You were Case Dwayne Bowe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you start off week 2, you played Jared, who dropped 157 that week. And then the next week, you played Schultz.
Back before Jared did his trades that ruined his team.
Yeah, when Jared was good, yeah, he had a rainmaker of a day. And then I know there was a couple tight games in there, like maybe with Schultz Ross, and I know I lost to Sap, which I'm still clearly the better team. Those 3 losses I know for sure were very close. I think maybe me and Zach had a close matchup.
You actually did beat me.
Yep. So you guys lost. You lost by 4 points. You actually beat Shane in the first matchup, but then lost in the second matchup. So you guys split on the series.
So we
and
split.
This year's Sacco playoffs is going to be the tiebreaker. Who is truly better? But like you said, like there was a clear bottom 4 most of the year, which was obviously us 3 and Josh, and then I happened to make a few good trades that kind of got me out of that barrel and threw Jared back in. So
no, you fucked me over, Curb.
Well, Sap, I want to touch base on what you asked me about my team. So I think my team I thought was really good, and I did text Zach and Kirby after the draft and asked them what they thought about my team, because I think that they got some good knowledge about this stuff, and they both said that they really like my team. So
does that get you extra points?
Yeah, for sure. So I did have Dak Prescott, and he probably was going to be the number 1 quarterback. He had a shit ton of points the first couple games. He got hurt. And then I had Mostert got hurt, and he's been solid until I did trade him away. But he was solid. And then when he got hurt, and then I had Josh Jacobs. I think he's been okay this year. I think he's kind of turned out to be a little more of a flop recently. But I had to.
Michael Thomas injury was hurt.
Michael Thomas was my number 1 pick. He got injured right away. So I had Prescott, Thomas, and then Mostert, who are probably 3 out of my top 5 players, go down. I have Josh Jacobs, who was my keeper. I did eventually trade him away to Zach, and I don't know if that's benefited Zach at all, but he was probably my number 1, number 2 running back. And so from there, I've had to make some moves to get better depth at a running back position. So I think I've won maybe the last 2 or 3 games in a row, counting my scrimmage against Jared last week.
Yeah, Sam, what do you think about your team and all that stuff? And okay, let's obviously lead into your team, what your thoughts on the year's been. Obviously, your team has struggled this year, being number 2 the whole entire year from beginning to end, always been the number 2. And what are your thoughts are? And then how in the world did you turn into see the light and seeing that the tight ends were the way to go? You just need a few tight ends in there, and all of a sudden you get a few W's.
So I really want to know if I wouldn't have traded you if I would have won. I haven't gone back and done the research, but if I would have kept DeAndre Hopkins, not traded for OBJ, kept Tom Brady, that's fine. You keep Lamar Jackson. I don't know. Did you go back and see that week, Curb?
Well, considering you're just telling me this now and giving me literally a 0-second heads up on this, no, I did not look it up. And,
because
I think the biggest impact of that trade wasn't necessarily giving away DeAndre Hopkins, which obviously hurt. But the thing is, to sweeten the deal, I want you to throw in David Montgomery, who over the course of the last 3 or 4 or 5 weeks since Tariq Cohen's been hurt, he's been a top 10 running back, which a lot of people really didn't expect. So I could
which he was on my
threw
bench.
that player in as a throw-in. Yeah. And so you threw that player in. All of a sudden, that gave me more trade leverage, and David Montgomery has really gone off the rest of the year. So I think that was the thing that truly hurt your team.
Did you take advantage of me?
No, I didn't take advantage. I mean, I used lube and all that stuff, so I was tender with you. I softened you up real nice, but yeah, I did take you to pound town.
I don't know. My team is hot. What am I on right now? Win streak of 4. Win streak of 4. Okay. Now, if I would have won whatever, I think it was against you, Curb. It was against someone where I lost by 10. And I think DeAndre Hopkins or someone, I would have made the playoffs. I'm just saying. No, I'm not joking. I haven't lost since that moment. And it was the moment that I lost by 10. I'm not sure which one it was, but
yeah, but if you move to 6 and what would you be 5 and 8?
I think it was 6? Curb that I went against though, and I lost.
Yeah, but Curb's hot. Curb, what's your record? You got Jared clearly beat.
Oh yeah, I'm 6 and 7 on the year, but right now I also have the second most points in the league, Sap. So if you would have beaten me, we would have the same record, and then I would have beat you in the tiebreak.
You would have had an extra loss though. You would have been 5 and something, whatever.
You just telling me this right now. I'm not going to dive into the
I know.
ifs, ands, or buts.
But-
I mean, I've lost on a whole bunch of BS games too. So
I know,
think you just
but
need to accept your loss and accept
lose
your
sleep
place
at
in the Sacco.
So that trade hurt me. My team's hot since then. I feel really good going into Kyler and I's matchup.
You got
My
4 wins
team-
in a row.
Yeah.
Seth, I
Do
beat
you
you
really?
by 70. Seth, I beat you by 70.
Kurt.
Not 10. I beat you by 70.
That's
you
just
had
that's just
39
details.
points
Please
to
stop
my
talking about that.
108.
He forgot to put the little dash on the 7. He read it as a 1, but you got to put the little dash on top to make it a 7.
Those are just details. All right,
Seth,
continue.
you
What were
scored
we talking
39
about?
points against me.
You're-
You
What's
were
the next
nowhere
segment?
close. You had 39 points.
It was either that, maybe it was Jared. I don't know.
Ever since you lost to me, you have not lost since. But yeah, you lost.
That was
you
it.
lost to Jared by 20 points. You lost to me by 70, not 10. And the week before, you lost to Jared by 20.
Technicality.
Yeah, you're just saying details at this point. But
Okay, so let's just preview now you guys' matchup this coming week. Sam, what
You
do you
wanna go
think's all
through
going to
it?
happen with your match?
I got notes.
All right, let's go. Rapid fire. Give me your favorite one. So we don't have
I got
time for all
notes
of them.
too.
Okay, so let's see. My team, I mean, they're coming off a soft week, but obviously we took the bye last week. We rested. Tom Brady against Atlanta's D, most points to a QB. So obviously I'm going to start Tom Brady and Gronk because Gronk is also, let's see, Atlanta gives up the 5th most points to tight ends. So, of course, I'm going to start Tom Brady and Gronk. That's like 90 points right there. I don't even have to go through the rest of my team.
Are you benching Lamar Jackson off his career day then and all the points that he scored on Monday night? You're going to put him on the bench now?
Due to the way my team reacts, I really should do the opposite of what I say. But I am going to stick to my guns. I have to go with facts. I mean, Atlanta's D is terrible. There's going to be a lot of points in that game. So I have to do that. And then I picked up Corey Davis recently because Zach. So I picked up Corey Davis because you guys kept making fun of Alshon Jeffries and how I kept starting him. But that's because,
You still have him.
okay, he used to be a number 1 receiver. You don't lose that. So at
Yeah,
some
so did Dwayne Bowe.
So did Dwayne Bowe. I was just going to say that.
Dude, were we going to say that at the same time?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, but you don't lose that, and he's been coming back from an injury, and they keep saying, like, I keep reading his notes, and they're like, he had some receptions, and they're going to keep giving him more receptions as the weeks come. And so I'm like, all right, this is the week, I'm getting him. And then he has, like, no receptions, and it's like, all right, we're back. But, okay, next, Jefferson, he'll always get points. I mean, he's a stud. David Johnson coming off of the COVID list. So that guy's just going to fucking wreck people. Slayton, obviously I'm going to start him because he's on the Giants, and I'm a big Giants fan now. And they're going against the Browns D, so they always give points to the wide receivers. That's all I got for my notes. Luddy, take it away. I've got plenty of notes for your team. Let me know when you're done.
Well, first things first, if we look at the last how many weeks, I've scored over 100 points. I'm not saying 100 is like a good number to reach, but I've scored over 111 times.
You've crushed it.
You have scored 100 or more 4 times.
That's fine. My team's hot now.
No, I mean, if you look at the last, I don't know what you scored last week on your bye scrimmage week, but you and Josh were like duking it out at like 70 some points. I
didn't even set my lineup.
Finished.
That's correct.
But yeah,
Okay.
we can run with that.
The week before was 98, and the week before that was 110. So yeah, you're coming in strong.
Consistent though.
A couple weeks before that, you had 39 points. Clearly, that is the worst game in Yarsky history.
That's because my team was just getting heated up.
Yeah. Like I said, I came off 154 point. This thing could go on to the whole Kelsey Waller thing. Hopefully, we have time for that. But I picked up Trubinsky, the Bears quarterback, and he's pretty much trash. But the last 2 weeks, he's been hot.
Do you want to talk about that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not sure who I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with him or Stafford. I know Stafford's kind of been dealing with his thumb, but it seems like he's been doing just fine.
Do you know how Trubisky does against the Minnesota? I don't want to like give you tips and stuff, but Trubisky in 2019 going against Minnesota, he scored 0.36 points.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean I'm going to
Oh, hang on.
That doesn't mean I'm going to start
I'm
him.
not done yet. And then he goes and scores 6.38 points. I
Okay.
want you to start him. Start him, Luddy.
Well,
Well,
I'm kind of leaning towards
also, Luddy,
Stafford.
Good.
Well,
I want
Luddy,
you to
just so
start
you
him
know,
too.
Stafford did injure his ribs last weekend, and there's not sure he's going to play.
Breaking news.
Well, waiver wires.
That is breaking news, I guess. And Sap, I
Okay,
guess
well.
to your comment about the Vikings last year, yeah, you're talking how he performed last year against the Vikings, but since that time, the Vikings don't have their two corners that were on that team. Their
But they know
top
how
two
to play
pass
him.
rushers that were on that team, Everson Griffin and Daniel Hunter, are no longer on that team. So you're playing against a totally different Vikings defense. That Vikings defense last year was vaunted and brought them to the playoffs with the win over the Saints, whereas this year, the Vikings defense has been steamrolled by almost everybody. They're not that good. So that's definitely not an apples to apples comparison.
Okay.
I love that. Start him, Luddy.
David Montgomery. So I didn't know that Sap originally had him and went to Curb and then went to Jared. Maybe somehow I got to Jared because I think I got it from Jared.
Yeah.
Yep, I traded him to Jared. That's how I got Tyreek Hill. Another beautiful trade on my part.
Because Curb offered the exact same trade to me, and I said no. And then Jared offered me the exact same two guys, and I said yes. So, anyways,
you said yes, but you did it a day after that I accepted the trade with Jared.
It's because I was sleeping with my 2-year-old kid on his floor at 8:00 at night, like I do every night. Montgomery I think has clearly become my number one running back, which has been good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I don't think Mixon is he playing?
There's nothing out yet. I haven't seen anything out yet about that one.
So I still kind of want to touch on that, but I think my wide receivers have been pretty solid. If Cooper Kupp plays well, I get some good points out of him. I'm drawing a blank on my other two wideouts. Who do I got, Curb?
Well, you're starting some more.
You got Allen Robinson and Marvin Jones, who's been doing very well since Galladay has been out.
Yep. I think my receiver, I've had some pretty good receiver strength, and then Addie Montgomery has been a good addition. I think I really would have moved into the Sacco playoffs maybe if I had him and I could keep Mostert or Jacobs or somebody to get me a second running back spot. And then I would have kept Kelsey. But I did pick up Waller, who had a heyday for me a couple weeks ago, got me $10. I think he's clearly the number 2 tight end. Again, this is just bringing so many points. I just want to fucking unload on Built rather than Sap right now. And then, yeah, I think my team is pretty solid compared to your Sap. And
not a chance. So you're starting 3 Bears players. That's kind of like my play. I've been starting a lot of Giants players recently. And as you can tell, it got me into the Sacco playoffs. So since
I told you this from the get-go. Would you trade it? Oh, geez.
I know I made some dumb mistakes, but I've learned. I know I don't need a bunch of Giants players to get to the playoffs. I obviously don't know what it takes to get to the playoffs. But so if you go with the 3 Bears players tactic, I love that. You should stick to that.
I'm not going to go with the 3 Bears tactics just because the Bears offense is garbage.
No, they're crushing it. Do it.
Well, okay. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you with.
Okay, wait. So you're gonna do Miami's defense though, and then James White, or have you not set your lineup yet?
Well, see, that's my running back too.
Waivers have not run yet, everyone. We don't know if someone's going to be picked up off the waiver wires. So that's going to be a hot topic.
Do we have time to go into this whole Waller thing? Because I can kind of like put this together.
Yep, go ahead, Lottie. The world is your guys' oyster. You guys lead the way.
Okay, Bill, I'm specifically fucking talking to you. And then I'm kind of talking to Zach. I'm not sure, since Zach has kind of been MIA, where he sits with this. I'm sure he was a little upset with it, and I know he called it gross trade.
He called the trade gross, quoted his word.
Okay, I do see a little bit of his reasoning, a little bit, but I don't think he fully understands mine. And I think Kirby, Built, and Zach have been heavy after Travis Kelce the whole year. All of the trades that I've been offered, I didn't think that they were very good. So then Kirby offers me Waller and Mixon. I do know that Mixon is hurt. My second running back has not been good. That's been something that's hurt me. And so I said, okay, well, I can get a 2-for-1 deal, but it is a gamble if he is healthy and plays. I know he hasn't played for a while, but I'm also looking. So if he does play, my James White is getting me like 1 to 3 points a game. So I'm like, okay, say if Mixon does start and plays and he gets me 3 points, I'm in the same boat as if I start James White. And so it is a little bit of a gamble, but he's got some good experience and he had some good games when he was healthy. And then I got the second best tight end. So I have a clear advantage over everybody else other than Kirby in that position. And I'm trying to win one game in the Sacco playoff so I don't have a chance. I think Josh has kind of got this thing locked up.
He does.
But I would hate to lose to Sap and then all of a sudden Josh scores 81 points and I score 79 and I have the nutsack in my house. So my reasoning is to my second running back is not good. So if I start Mixon who does play, then great. I think he helps me more than anything. And then if he doesn't, then yeah, it probably wasn't a great trade. And I can see Zach's frustration playing against Curb, losing to Curb with Kelsey, but Waller still would have beat him. So at the end of the day, you're out, Zach. Time to move on. And I do think that Zach isn't as bitter as Built is just like poking at the group chat.
Wait.
Is what?
I would like to address that. How did I become Zach's villain throughout this season?
I think Built did.
Well, Zach.
Oh, how he says you're his arch enemy in fantasy?
Yeah. What did I do?
That's built out over multiple years. I think whenever he loses to you, like he loses to somebody, it hurts him. But when he loses to you, he takes it personally because
so that's it. It was just me crushing.
Rants are going on like nothing else, and he takes it personally.
I think he takes it personally to you because your team sucks, Sap.
Okay, so the frustrating thing is, it's like the guy turns his phone off or whatever until Tuesday. Well, he actually turned it on early. This week, Monday. When did he start texting you back, Curb?
So the thing is, his phone obviously isn't off, but he just ignores everything from it. And he texted me Sunday morning asking about some bets he wanted to do on DraftKings, and I was driving, so I responded to him later. And then he just went completely AWOL the rest of the day. I didn't talk any shit to him, but I just talked about the bets I was making and everything. Completely went AWOL. And then he has his phone, but he just ignores it.
Are we transitioning to that?
Yes, we are absolutely transitioning to please talk all the shit you want about Zach now. The world is your oyster.
All right.
Because I beat the shit out of Zach in last week's matchup. Stop complaining about Kelsey. Waller would have done the same thing to you. Knocked you out of the playoffs 2 of the last 3 years. Beat your ass in golf head-to-head. Tap, you now have the floor.
Bam. Okay. What do the 2006 Chargers and the Sap Vegas Painting Raiders have in common? Say what?
They both had
no. Say
really
what?
good defenses. And
No, say what?
What, Shane?
Well, thanks, Kylie. Both teams were absolutely stacked in the regular season, crushing it, and then lost the first round in the playoffs and fucking suck. That's it. That's all I got.
Steph, is that your sweetest victory, knowing that I think Zach's not so mad that he lost to me? It's more the fact that he lost to you the week before that cost him the bye. I mean, going into the week, like, did you think you had any chance of winning, or what in the world all happened with that?
His team kind of went downhill really bad. Like, he started scoring under 100, and like, under 100 is my category. So I know when a team's starting to struggle. So when I see this team like just sucking for air, I'm like, oh yes, this is going to be a victory. And I took it and I beat Zach. So I felt great. Even though I had nothing going for that matchup, beating him was basically my Yarsky.
And see, this is why he hates losing to you so much, because this is going to hurt him to his core.
It does hurt losing to Sap, though, especially this year, because the game before probably Zach lost to Sap. I lost to Sap. And I think I said in the group chat, like, here's rock bottom, and I'm down here. Like, it was such a kick in the nuts to lose to Sap. The only thing worse would have been to lose to Josh. And I don't think I'm going to get to that opportunity because I'm going to beat Sap. But
Who lost to him, actually? Because Josh.
That was Jared, actually, which makes this next week's matchup that much better. Jared and Josh in the revenge games. Let's transition really quick. We're going to just jump, I think, to end it all with our predictions for the Sacco and the Yarski playoffs. Just quick high level. Obviously, you guys are each picking yourself to win in your head-to-head matchup. But who do you think is going to win in the Josh versus Jared matchup? Let's lead it off with you.
I think it's clearly Jared's going to win. I think Josh's team is not good. Clearly, us four probably, we're the bottom four. So it's not like I'm like praising me and Sap's team by a landslide here, but I think Jared definitely gets Josh.
Yep.
What are you thinking?
I also don't want to be the one to have to play Josh in the Sacco, and he has one good weekend.
Yeah. So I agree. Josh is the worst team ever and should definitely win the Sacco. But I'd like to put a bet out there for anybody that wants to take it that my team will score over 110 points. And you can bet me any amount of money, but my team will score over 110 points this week. I'm very confident. I've looked at my matchups, and whoever wants to take it can bet me whatever you want. Besides Bell.
So are you going to have you have to have your lineup locked at the same time, because changing your lineup will change things on if people want to bet. You're going to have to let everybody know when your lineup is set and you're not making any more changes.
Ooh, that gets kind of tough with COVID. But yes, details.
So just let us know whenever you think your lineup's good and set, and then let everyone know, and then we can make the bet.
Okay, deal. You hear that, Luddy? Does that scare you?
Congrats, Sap. You're second the waiver wire again this week. I've never heard that.
And then Zach's like, it's not a compliment. It is a compliment. You see me just wrecking that waiver wire.
And so, you know what? I'm actually sitting here a little worried. I think I'm actually going to pick Josh to pull off the upset over Jared. I think Jared's going to be back in the Sacco. And the reason behind it, I'm looking at the main weakness that Josh has had as his running backs, but right now, Christian McCaffrey is projected to be out, so he gets another week of Mike Davis. Jonathan Taylor has been turning it up lately, and he's got a weak Houston defense. And he picked up Cam Akers off the waiver wire, who's playing the Jets. So his three running backs are going to be absolute studs. And the two receivers that he has, potentially the two Steelers receivers in Juju and Claypool, are playing Cincinnati. So you know that they're going to score a bunch of points on them. So I'm actually picking Josh to pull off the upset this week, beat Jared, and he's going to be playing one of you two in the Sacco Championship, which I think I didn't dive into the matchups, but looking quick, high level, and just knowing your guys' team, I'm picking Luddy with the win. I think Luddy's going to get the win, and we're going to have a Sap versus Jared Sacco Championship next weekend.
Grow up.
Love it.
Obviously, I'm not going to agree to that. That's why I want That's why I want people to put their money where their mouth is. Let's go. 110 points.
Oh, I will take your bet. I just want to know your final team, and I'm going to take your bet. So you have me on air taking your bet.
Let's have a bet, Zap. I'll take head-to-head, me and you. And you can give me a couple points, too. Works with Bill.
You want points there, too?
Sure, works with Bill.
No, not a chance. But, yes, I agree. So when I make the Sacco, whatever that's called next week, obviously Josh loses.
So you're admitting defeat.
Can you at least confirm me on that?
So Kyler, are you saying head-to-head? So now you each got a bet. When Kyler, if Sap and Josh are playing each other, who's going to win, Sap or Josh?
Sap or Josh? I mean, I take Sap. I think Josh.
Sap, do you think Kyler would beat Josh?
I mean, yeah. Josh he's just destined to win this Sacco. I mean, his team is just really bad.
It's so sad that he won the one game against Jared. It'd make the Sacco, even though it's already so entertaining, it would make it just that much more great. So I think we can.
If Josh would have went 0-16, would you transition the name from Jared to Josh?
No. Absolutely not, because Jared did it in the very first year of the league, and his name will forever live in infamy because that is impressive. The first year never to win a game, that can never be topped. It will forever be called to Jared.
Okay. I agree.
Okay, so you know what? We talked plenty about the SACO. We're just going to do a high-level overview of the championship matchup, even though people honestly don't care near as much about that. We care more about the ball sack trophy. But do you have any thoughts on me and Ross and Phil and Pooty, who's going to win? I don't know if you've looked at the matchups at all or just think high level. Who do you think is going to win those games? Well, let's start with you.
You know what? I will start with Pooty and Bilt's matchup. I like Pooty in that matchup. I think he's got. I think he's been a little bit more consistent across the board as far as scoring points. I know Bilt, does score a lot of points too, but I think he's also had some kind of off weeks too. I'm looking at Pooty there, and then with Curb and Ross, surprisingly, I think I'm going to go with Curb, which sounds crazy. I have been very impressed with Curb making a huge run to make into the playoffs because for the longest time he was sitting at that 8 spot and I was at that 7 spot. And then he just started slowly climbing and he's kind of made a pretty good team for himself. So I like
made some
Curb.
Good trades.
Yep, I like Curb. And then I know we're looking probably too far out, but I kind of like Pooty. But that's because there's an upset of Curb over Ross.
Pooty winning the championship and the projections by Kyler. All right, Sap, what are your projections going forward? That would be a huge upset having Pooty win it all.
Due to me being biased and I want a low-scoring Bears-Minnesota game, I'm going to go with Bilt, the Randy Mosterkamps, for that matchup. Due to Pooty having Cook and Diggs. That's biased, though.
Diggs is on the Bills now, Sap. Update your app.
Really? What do you mean? No.
He's been on the Buffalo Bills all year.
No, but he has Cook and Diggs.
Stephon Diggs is on the Buffalo Bills.
Fuck. Cut that.
That's why Justin Jefferson is good, Chase.
Damn it. Cut it. Cut that part.
So, Sap, between Pooty, who allegedly has a couple Bears players, and I got 3, we damn near have a whole starting lineup on offense for Bears. Does that include any offensive linemen, or do we not get points for those?
No.
All right, Sap. So apparently you got Bilt winning because Pooty's got Dalvin Cook and Stephon Diggs, who's still playing on the Vikings in your fantasy world. But yeah, go ahead. All right.
So I
who
fucked
do you
up on my research.
Ross,
okay, so let me just take a moment. I mean, it's hard to bet against Derrick Henry. So I got to go Ross.
And so who would you have winning between Beltino and Roscoe in the championship? Just thinking high level off your top of your head. Ross,
and then we don't do keepers. And then someone else gets Derrick Henry.
The keepers aren't going to be done. We already know that because you guys bitch and whine and put me at a handicap to start the year. But you know what? That's okay. I'm still in the Final Four, just proving how elite I am as a manager. So I'll happen to agree with both of you on one of your picks. I'm agreeing that Roscoe still pulls off the win against me. I think Derrick Henry drops 35, and my team just can't overcome it because of the Detroit Lions. And I got Pooty winning on the other side, where Bilt's just battling too many injuries with all his team and doesn't quite have the impressive stallions that Pooty has. And right now, I still got Ross winning it just because his running backs are way too damn good. And Stab, you're using that clicker like a machine. So well done.
Wait. So week 16, are you concerned with people resting players, teams resting players?
Personally, I am not, because one of the things that actually benefits our league is that there's now only one bye in each conference. So usually if players are going to sit, it's more rare for a team to have the bye locked in before week 16. Usually week 17 that might occur. But so long as, let's say, the Chiefs and Steelers both win this next week, they still both need to play their stars in order to secure a bye. So I'm not as concerned. That's why we have the fantasy championship in week 16 as opposed to 17, so we don't have to run into that problems. But they still could arise. You just never know how the games are going to play.
We appreciate that, Commish.
Hey, you know what? I am a commish for the people, even though I got screwed over on the whole keeper deal. I mean, you know what? We'll just keep living and learning, and we'll do it without it next year. But, hey, boys, I think that's about everything that we have for the week 15 yards cap. You guys got any final words? Sap, let's lead it off. You got any last words you want to say to everyone?
I've got nothing. Fuck you, Kyler.
Wow. Hats to you, Curb, and Zach. I know Zach's not here, but great addition with
He's crying.
With the Yars cap, and thanks for having us on. And go Bears.
And you know what? That's all we got here for the Week 15 edition of the Yars Cap. Good luck, everybody. I'm personally pulling for Luddy, and I'm actually hoping Jared gets the win because we want the Sacco to have a new home this year. But you know what? Good luck, everybody, except for Ross. And everyone, have a good weekend, baby. Go football.
Peace.